Good evening, dear Medyascope viewers. Welcome to This Week in Turkey. This evening, we will have Ömer Taşpınar, who is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution, with us. Mr. Taşpınar will evaluate Turkey's decision to suspend oil search of Greek island and international reactions to Turkey's decision to convert Hagia Sophia into a mosque. But first, let's take a look at this week's developments. As of July 29th, the death toll from the coronavirus in Turkey has reached 5,629, while the number of the confirmed cases has become 228,924. Meanwhile, the Minister of Health has ceased to provide the number of patients who are intubated and treated in the intensive care unit. Next on our bulletin is our news video on the 1000th day of the imprisonment for the Turkish philanthropist and businessman Osman Kavala.
Kavala was taken into custody in October 2017 for orchestrating the anti-government Gezi Park protests in Istanbul. Subsequently, he was jailed pending trial of attempting to overthrow the government. After 2 years of being in jail without ever being convicted of a crime, his prolonged pre-trial detention emerged to be illegal under the European Court of Human Rights in December 2019, which called for his immediate release. Kavala remained in Silivri prison until this past February, when he was acquitted in trial over the Gezi protest charges. However, a few hours after his release, Kavala was rearrested under another charge of espionage and aiding the Turkey's 2016 coup attempt. Human rights advocates state that the charges against Kavala lack substantive evidence and are due to Turkey's politicized court proceedings. Gülçin Avşar, Deva Parti's administrative board member, spoke to Medyascope on July 27th regarding the case of Osman Kavala and stated the following.
The fundamental principles of criminal law is being ignored. If you want to take political revenge from somebody, these are in fact the easiest instruments to use. If you are not a state of law, you can easily penalize those who you view as your opponent through the claims and labels like infiltrator, terrorist, or traitor. As a matter of fact, we all know that these instruments are invariably implemented in Turkey.
In legal circumstances, during Kavala's 1,000-day-long and passing imprisonment, there has been many major issues on the judiciary system's transparency and the accessibility of information. Kavala's lawyers filed an application in 2017 regarding the restriction of access to the investigation file and his illegal detention. Regarding the issues of access to files and information, HDP's Kocaeli Congressman Ömer Gergerlioğlu said to Medyascope that
Osman Kavala has been behind bars for 1,000 days, and the reason for his arrest is still undetermined. This is a judicial tragedy beyond belief that has been ongoing since 18 October 2017. Kavala was first taken into custody for backing up the Gezi protests, and for 19 months neither Kavala himself nor his lawyers was informed about Kavala's file.
The question of when will Kavala be acquitted is yet to be known, and so is the matter behind his accusation. As he gets acquitted, more lawsuits are being filed. Medyascope founder and editor-in-chief Ruşen Çakır mentioned in his exclusive broadcast regarding the 1,000th day of Kavala's imprisonment that Medyascope journalist Dilek Şenes conducted a written interview with Kavala and has sent it to Silivri prison. Osman Kavala wrote the following.
Although I believe that I will eventually be acquitted despite all the unwarranted charges against me, it's not possible for me to predict how long I will remain as a prisoner. CHP conducted its 37th regular Congress in Ankara last weekend, where Kılıçdaroğlu was re-elected as the party chairman, and 4 CHP deputy leaders could not make it to the party assembly.
Turkey's main opposition, Republican People's Party (CHP), held its 37th regular Congress in Ankara on July 25th. At CHP's two-day Congress, on the first day the delegates re-elected Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu as the party chairman. This marks Kılıçdaroğlu's 6th term as CHP chairman as he took office at the 33rd regular Congress. Kılıçdaroğlu collected 1,251 votes out of 1,318 during the elections. Regarding his re-election as the party leader, Bilkent University Associate Professor on the Department of International Relations, Dr. Berk Esen, stated the following in the Medyascope broadcast on CHP Congress and Opposition.
We observe that the party leaders who successfully conduct political alliance tend to have the upper hand and outshine. Considering Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, even though he's not that great at in-party opposition, he is seen as great through political alliance. He stands out in the situation specifically because delegates have very significant support through this alliance.
On Sunday, delegates voted to elect the 52 members of the party's assembly. The deputy leader of CHP, Faik Öztürk, won the majority of the votes and entered the party assembly on the first rank. However, three other deputy leaders, Ünal Çeviköz, Yıldırım Kaya, and Tuncay Özkan, could not get enough votes to enter into the assembly. Aykut Erdoğdu, another deputy leader of the CHP, succeeded to be chosen amongst the 52 members, although could not make it into the assembly due to the party's gender regulation.
Turkey has said it could pause energy exploration operations in the eastern Mediterranean Sea for a while, pending talks with Greece.
In an interview with broadcaster CNN Türk on Tuesday, presidential spokesman İbrahim Kalın said that President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan told his aides to be constructive and put this on hold for some time. Despite this, our president said while the negotiations are continuing, let's be constructive and hold energy search for a while, he said. Turkish vessel Oruç Reis planned to search for hydrocarbons 180 kilometers from the island of Meis, Kalın told the private broadcaster. Last week, Turkey announced plans to dispatch a research vessel and two support vessels to carry out operations through August 2nd in the area that Ankara says is on its continental shelf. Greece's Navy last week said it had deployed ships in the heightened readiness after Turkey announced plans for energy exploration in the region. Turkey has accused Greece of trying to exclude it from the benefits of oil and gas findings, arguing that sea boundaries of commercial exploitations should be divided between the Greek and Turkish mainland and not include the Greek islands on an equal basis. Everyone should continue working on their own continental shelves and conduct joint work in contested areas, Kalın said. He also said that bilateral issues with Greece should be solved through dialogue rather than through threats on Turkey's bid for European Union membership. On Monday, Greek government spokesman Petsas said that Turkey was withdrawing naval vessels from the area, adding that Athens remained ready to enter negotiations with Turkey within the framework of international law and good neighborly relations. Kalın on Tuesday said Greece was an important neighbor to Turkey and added, "We are ready to discuss with Greece without any conditions."
And we continue with our guest, who is Ömer Taşpınar. He is a senior fellow at Brookings Institution. Mr. Taşpınar, thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Let's start with your evaluation of Turkey's Hagia Sophia decision. It's been a week since the conversion, and the decision has apparently certain goals in both domestic and foreign politics. Are these goals now achieved? What do you think?
Well, it depends on what President Erdogan had in mind with the decision, of course. My take on this issue has always been that he has entered the last phase of his reign in Turkey. He's been in power for almost 2 decades now. And this is a legacy, what we call a legacy issue for him. So he wants to be remembered in history books by doing something symbolically very important, which is often identified with what Ataturk did, which is turning Hagia Sophia into a museum. So in that sense, I think he was playing for history books more than the global audience or even the domestic audience. It is, of course, important for the domestic audience, but I tend to agree with most of the analysts who say that this was not a burning issue for the majority of the Turkish public opinion, who is expecting actually reforms and economic improvement on bread and butter issues. They're not really interested in what's the future of Hagia Sophia. And also, as far as the global reaction is concerned, this came at a time when the whole world is preoccupied with many other things, starting with the pandemic and a global recession, US elections, Europe is in crisis, and Turkey is already in the news to a certain degree with its actions in the Eastern Mediterranean, as we will talk about. So it failed also to trigger a major reaction from the West. In case President Erdogan had in mind a kind of nationalist moment in which he would basically say to the world, don't interfere with our domestic affairs, this is Turkey's business, I don't think the world really tried to interfere very much with Turkish affairs. They just expressed regret, sorrow, some condemnation. Even Russia, which is the major country that could have reacted given the orthodox nature of this sectarian issue, I think the Russian reaction was more muted than the Pope's, the Catholic world. So in a sense, I don't think the world also paid that much attention to what Erdogan did. There's a kind of Erdogan fatigue, if you want, in the world about what Erdogan is doing in terms of the authoritarian agenda, nationalism or Islamism. So it was nothing major, nothing drastic. But what is really important, in my opinion, is two things. First, this is important for history books. This is something that will be remembered. And second, maybe 10 years from now, when there is a new government, a new paradigm, a new era in Turkey, if we face a new resurgence of secularism or Kemalism, this may be part of the pendulum swing debate, a kind of revenge of Erdogan, what Erdogan did, and restoring Turkey's secular credentials could be once again tested by an attempt to restore the museum status of Hagia Sophia. So we could see something down the line again in the future, and the symbolism of this issue, in other words, will continue to resonate for future generations.
The second issue I want to talk about with you is Turkey's decision to pause energy search off the Greek island of Meis this week. At the beginning, Turkey seemed quite defiant in this issue, despite the increasing tensions with Greece. And what factors do you think played a role in this change of approach?
Well, I think once again we're seeing the limits of escalation diplomacy, escalation potential of Turkey. In case this continued and Turkey had not decided to back down or pause its drilling activities, there was a serious chance of a clash. It's debatable who would win, who would lose from a clash, but Turkey is going through a period where there is an economic recession at home and tourism is already absent, and Turkey is desperately in need of foreign exchange. And in case there is additional tensions to already what's going on in the Eastern Mediterranean with Turkey's involvement in Libya, a hot war with Greece would basically mean the end of the Turkish economy in many ways, because there would be no tourism revenue. The country would be entering basically a serious stage of a potential full-blown confrontation with Greece. Relations with the United States, relations with the European Union would be hitting an all-time low. And this is not something I think that Erdogan, the pragmatic, wanted to foresee. Instead, he tested the limits of the escalation, and he didn't want to be the first one to blink because he doesn't want to lose face. But on the other hand, he basically found a way of saying, we're giving a chance to diplomacy. We've shown that we're serious. So in a face-saving way, he was able to say, we showed we were serious, and it's up to Greece to make up its mind. And he managed to save face for domestic audiences and maintain the hope that relations with Europe, relations with the West can continue, especially on the financial front, where Turkey may soon need Western help, be it in the form of the International Monetary Fund or United States, or a new deal with the European Union in terms of getting more tourists or visa-free travel or foreign aid. So this is not a good time, given the domestic problems in Turkey, given the recession in Turkey, to pick a war with Greece, because it will have financial implications, major financial implications on the Turkish economy. One other school of thought would say, this is exactly the time to divert attention from problems at home. this is what authoritarian countries do when they have major problems at home. They try to divert attention from these problems and galvanize the nationalist cause, the kind of flag, the rally around the flag impact. I think Erdogan has seen the limits of that. A war with Greece could galvanize nationalism in Turkey for a few weeks, but then if it's going to cause financial damage to Turkey, the limits of such a gain are clear. And also, I don't think Turkey is going to elections anytime soon. So if there was really an election timetable, one could speculate that maybe a war with Greece could rally around the flag for the next couple of weeks just before we go to the ballot box. But I don't think this is likely to happen this summer. Scenarios of an early election are I think, for the future, not in the next couple of months, maybe closer towards the end of the year or maybe next year. I think there will be an early election in Turkey, but not a snap election, not something urgent, rushed election like this one. So on that front too, it doesn't make much sense to pick a war with a neighbor like Greece, which Turkey obviously has military advantages against. Turkey can win a war against Greece, but it will not be a war confined to Greece. The US Senate, the US Congress will react, the European Union will react, the Turkish economy will experience a major downturn. Already there is a downturn. So I think at the end of the day, Erdogan has decided to be more pragmatic on this. And this is why he decided to make a U-turn, hoping that this will give time and space for diplomacy.
Mr. Taşpınar, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
This is all from This Week in Turkey. See you next week.